Hello and welcome everybody. My name is Sabrina. I'm with Surrender Living. I have a very special guest with me today. We've kind of worked a few things out and we are good to go now. It's Carolyn Luhning with Game Changers Fitness. Hi, Carolyn.
Hey, Sabrina. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming. So when I interview people that I know, which is most often people that I know, I don't give them enough justice when I do the introduction. So could you just tell us who you are and what you're about?
Okay, well, you said my name, Carolyn Luhning. I'm with Game Changers Fitness. I am a certified fitness professional, so I teach group fitness online with my husband, who is also a certified professional fitness trainer. So that's what I'm currently doing. Big pivot in the light of COVID to what was sort of a side hustle, kind of became a more predominant side hustle. So that's the focus right now. Anyway, is just really on fitness in our lives. Yeah.
Right on. So tell me about the pivot. What does that look like for you guys?
It was. Ryan was working as a manager at a gym franchise that closed when we locked down. It then officially just closed altogether. It couldn't sustain the impact of the lockdown. So that was one thing. So without work, not as soon as the lockdown went in, but soon thereafter, I was working. I have a marketing and communications background, so I do a lot of contracting on the side. So all of those contracts came to an abrupt end. I work for artists and comedians, so really on the front line of performing arts, on tours, things like that, completely shut down. And really they'll be the last to go back to work. So that's really not an option. And I was working as a real estate assistant doing some communications and marketing there. And with the borders closed and things like that and commercial real estate, so everything we were doing just completely shut down, except for the fact that the quick pivot was we had an audience of people who were working out at the gym that Ryan managed. I worked there sometimes on occasion. So we just quickly pivoted and started doing online fitness. And then when that gym officially closed, we just pivoted into our own business, our own online app. And now we provide, 5 workouts a week to this group of people or anybody else who wants to join. So that's been the pivot. And didn't see that coming.
Amazing. Amazing how you got that together so quickly too. I think that's definitely been essential for entrepreneurs, especially for that to be time sensitive.
Yeah, so. I think everything that we've experienced in life brings us to where we're at. Just like you doing this. I mean, you don't see this coming, but my marketing and communications background allowed me to understand how to, video and edit and all of those kinds of things. Ryan's background.
You can tell me, sister.
Yes. So we learned a lot. It wasn't easy because there's certain things that came into play. And then Ryan, we met in theater school. And so our background is in performing arts. So the performance aspect, that communications aspect, and the fitness aspect all came together. And we were then able to really move quite quickly, having those skills. So sometimes I think we never know where life is going to take us. You can't see something like this coming, but it's what you're willing to do to pivot and move and be flexible. And, in theater background, in improv, we always talk about that yes, let's mentality, right? Yes, let's. If you're doing improv with somebody across from you and you say no, there's nowhere for that other person to go and the scene is dead. Same thing in life. You never know what's going to come. Opportunities come our way. We always talk about this, right? If you listen for those opportunities and you say, yes, let's, you'll figure everything out. I don't believe, if you build it, it will come necessarily, but the premise isn't exactly all wrong. You got to do the hard work and put in the time. But so.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yes, let's. Perfect.
Yes, let's.
That's a huge takeaway. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, I was like bragging you up with all the technological errors. So I'm not sure that anybody heard it or maybe everybody heard it. But you know what I love about you, Carolyn, is that you are relentlessly positive in a very real way. And I think that comes from showing up as yourself, but also just that emotional honesty, right? Like you can say like, things aren't perfect right now, but we got this. And you've got that emotional regulation piece that comes from the physical side of things. Like that's, the emotions are the energy in motion, right? So I think that's very cool. Now, for me, I live in my body a little bit differently than you do because you are a AAA battery, from what I understand. Would that be correct?
What's a AAA battery? You'll have to
Like
explain.
you're just very energetic and you have this intensity about you, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Intensity, I was on a girls trip not too long ago, and one of the girls that I grew up with and so I've known for many years, but she reminded me that I'm a very intense person. And it just comes to light, especially this week, and in all honesty and transparency, that sometimes that just doesn't serve this body and mind very well. Do you know?
Right.
Sometimes that intensity serves us well, or those certain aspects of ourselves. It's that fine line, because that intensity, that AAA battery in me, can work only until it doesn't. And then when it doesn't, it doesn't serve me at all and those around me.
Right.
Like, you start the week out, my husband's not well, I'm taking care of the kids because they're doing homeschool now online. I'm doing my contract work, I'm filming workouts, Ryan's in the basement feeding him, taking care of him, the emotional stress of that, and I'm all in, and then bam, migraine, 2 days, my body's like, fuck you, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, you know what, you got to slow it down. And
Right.
so, I was thinking about, our conversation this morning before we got on, and I think that that's so very important, is that these aren't normal times, and some of those things that we could get away with before aren't going to serve us in this atmosphere and this context. Yeah. So, but yes, I am a bit of a firecracker, and I will go hard sometimes to my own detriment. So what I'm working on personally right now is really serving myself first, and then everybody else, my family next, and then all of my clients and fitness people after that, because otherwise, AAA batteries do what happens. The corrosion happens, right? You start to break down. So
yeah, no,
I digress, but yeah.
No, that's a great way of putting it. And so my mission right now is to just remain mentally healthy and to find ways to, I don't know about fitness. I mean, you've seen my body. Like I'm not consistent in this area, but finding the right people to help us out, my community out, with the information and with all of your expertise, I really appreciate it. That's what I'm fixing to do, right? Is finding that. So this might be a bit of a no-brainer, but I think it remains to be repeated, the connection between mental health and fitness. Did you want to go there for a minute?
Yeah, I think, I don't think it's ever been so prevalent in my experience personally, and to the people that we work with, how important it is for mental health. Fitness is it's so saturated now on social media. I mean, if you go on Instagram, everybody's doing a squat with their booty to the screen, and it's fitness, 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 but everybody's selling fitness for weight loss. And so when we hear about fitness or exercise, it's always related with a loss or restriction or limitation, right? We have to restrict ourselves. We have to work out really, really, really hard to lose weight and to gain, but we don't talk about are the gains that come from it. And at this point in my life and where I'm at, never before has fitness become such a tool for mental health. And, I don't think we can get through this. Anybody can get through this time without feeling that mental health strain at some point, no matter to what degree and how it affects them in their context. And so I think now more than ever, we're really starting to focus. I know Ryan and I are really focusing on not it's not about what fitness removes from your experience, but what it adds to it. So thinking about the gains versus the losses. Right. And I know it's a fitness cliche about the gains. To me, it's just talking about exercising or getting out for a walk, a brisk walk, or snowshoeing, I don't know, whatever it is for your mental health. It's, when your heart rate gets up and the adrenaline and the endorphins and all of that those positive hormones start to flow through your body, it is a pick-me-up. And I don't mean to undermine anything, but I would say it certainly is not a full solution for everybody's mental health issues, but I do believe that it's a tool in the toolbox. And getting your heart rate up, 10 minutes, 20, 30 minutes a day, it's not it doesn't have to be crazy hard, but it just has to challenge you, get a bit of a sweat on. And I promise you afterwards, it will just from the minimum, right? Like, let's say you just go into a workout in a bad mood. By the time that workout's done, you can't remember what you were mad about to begin with. And that's just that
Yes.
level change, right? At
Yes.
very base level. And so imagine what that could just do, no matter where you start into it, to the rest of your day. We always talk about it setting the tone.
Yeah.
And so for me, right now, for everybody, we're doing a 12-day kind of Christmas challenge. But
Yay.
but in no way have we talked about anything to do with weight loss, about limitations or restricting yourselves. Everything is about, more water, more fruit and vegetable, but we're not talking about taking away.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
like
a
that.
minimum of 30 minutes a day of exercise. And, what about like, it's lifestyle things, like one day the challenge is to make your bed. The next day might be to read a chapter in a book, but it's all about overall wellness and adding fitness to that equation.
Oh, I
So
love it. That is
yeah,
so on point with surrender living. That is just, yeah.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
And I have to tell you this, Carolyn, it's so funny. It's like, when you go to the dentist and you take extra time to brush and like flush
Yes.
your teeth extra and all that. I was going to go for my walk this morning and I'm like, I better do more. I'm talking to the fitness expert today. Yeah, it was kind of like that. Anyway, so another thing I want to talk to you about is resolutions, because we're coming into that time. And I know a lot of people, they become more body aware. They become aware of the fact that possibly they've sort of hurt themselves over the holidays, or they become sedentary over the holidays. So what would be your message to that population of people? I personally think that some is better than none. Like, if you go hard for 1 month of January, like, good for you. That's better than not doing it. But what do you say to that sort of?
So 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago, Ryan and I did set a New Year's resolution, which changed the trajectory of our relationship and our lives. It got us on the fitness path, but we were really at rock bottom in our relationship, and we weren't doing well, I would say, both mentally and physically as individuals and a couple. But that brought us together and we moved forward with that. But I don't think that New Year's it is cool. But that's not to say that New Year's resolutions works for everyone. And I think sometimes it can set people up for failure, right? This huge expectation. And now, in this context in which we're living, I'm all about grace and all about forgiveness, which we should always be. But I just mean, it's not about should. I can't have people shoulding all over themselves. Like, I should set a New Year's resolution. Oh, I gained, the COVID-19, or I feel puffy, or I feel bloated. It took us a while to get to this place, and we are not living in our normal reality in terms of normal everyday life contextually and all those things. And we've had a chance to step back. So I would say, take this opportunity in which we're living in these bubbles to take that step back and really discover what's important to you. We all have different seasons of our lives, and I'm in a very different season right now than I was 5 years ago. So what does it mean to you? What is important to you? Is losing 10 pounds really important to you right now? Maybe so I guess it is setting your priorities and what's important and really what's doable, because whatever mindset you go into 2021 in, past that threshold of the new year and setting those goals, you really have to be, I think, crystal clear on what is possible. I think you have to know what your context of your world is, what's possible, and do those goals meet with what you're willing to do and what you can sustain.
Right.
So I think you just have to really maybe take some time with your journal, or you can go on a good walk and have a conversation with yourself or your higher power or whatever it is, but go for that, exploration before you set anything down that you feel like you should do, because I don't think any of us right now should feel like we have to do anything. But I would challenge you to think about what you can add to your life now, or maybe in 2021, that's going to help nurture your mindset and nurture your body. And you can figure out all the rest as time goes by. But I really think it should be about overall health as opposed to anything else. So I don't know if that answers your question, Sabrina, but I'm so careful about people setting up extreme expectations for themselves in this current reality, because things change on a daily.
Yeah, that's right, for sure.
Yeah.
And I loved having you in my group last year. That
Yeah.
accountability piece was
That's great.
huge. You well, it wasn't last year. It feels like it was like
It
forever
was like a few months ago.
ago. But yeah, so that was great. And you've got a lot going on in your home. Your home is now you've changed it into a fitness studio. You're
Yes, right back here.
nurturing.
Things move, and yeah, it's a home change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm interested in that because all of these buckets, the home, the house, the hope, the health, all of that stuff, it's all energy flow for me, right?
Yes.
So I think that's really important in our homes too. So yeah, has that been the biggest change for you? Because you also moved house in a pandemic.
Yes, we sold our house literally a few days before the pandemic started.
Wow.
So, yeah. So can you reframe that for me?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I just want to know, like, in terms of energetically for you with your home,
Oh, yeah.
what yeah, like just tell us a little bit about that. Has it been hard sort of adjusting your environment to the pivot, the
Yeah.
hustle pivot and all of that?
Yeah.
Do you like your new house? Like, how's it going
Yeah.
over there?
No, I think, I just remember we were so ready to move and we'd made these big plans and the news of the pandemic was starting to unravel and it just so happened, yes, that the week that we sold our house was when really everything started to shut down. And so we had to move quickly. And so for the first little while, there's a lot of stress around just moving the house and the kids were at home on that initial lockdown here in Alberta. And going through real estate deals and wheeling, because really when you go to actually move into your new house, if you've all lost your jobs, your mortgage company is not necessarily going to be too cool on paying out a mortgage. So
Right.
there was lots of things that we did, and we're grateful also for family that we were in a position where family could, add a signature and help us out. And really that has been huge is our community of family that have been so supportive through all of this. But the energy, we were also blessed, I think, with the fact that we did move. We're now in a new home and we can explore that while not being able to go out into the world. But nonetheless, we're still isolated for the most part in a bigger home. But we brought our business into our house as well.
Yeah.
So I think the energy here is good. I think that, having fitness a part of our everyday, we have a dog that gives us an excuse to get out, but there is also creating boundaries in all of that for everyone in our house. And having our home just a little bit bigger space has allowed everybody to sort of find their own place and have some room. And so we're grateful for that because we know that not everybody has that. As far as our fitness is important to our mental health and our well-being, but it also is a business. So it's compartmentalizing a bit when and where things get done. And for example, because Ryan's been in the basement, which is where we keep all of our lighting and our camera and everything for when we record our workouts up here in our living room, where we've just got some space and bright light. I've had that workout stuff up here in our living space for days. And it's an accepted way of just how we have to live right now. But ideally, I would want that out of here because I need my home space to be a place that we can come back to as a family and live and commune and connect. And with this in the way, that's kind of that business piece that's sitting right here.
Yeah,
so getting it out of here is important, but putting the room back in its normal place is important for us. Same, I work from home with contracts. So it's making sure that I remove those things because I'm, like you said, the AAA battery. I'll be pulled back in over to my computer that sits on the kitchen table at times that it's just inappropriate for me to be working. So it's removing those things as much as possible, giving the energy to those things when it matters, and then getting them out, changing gears and getting back in contact with our family and connecting or relaxing or whatever that is without those things in play, if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect sense. It sounds like your home is like you, multifunctional, right? Like
Yes.
I believe that our environments are important and they're an extension of ourselves. So cool. And I guess I feel like we're doing really good with the tech. I've really eaten up a lot of your time, more than I thought I was going to.
That's okay. That's
Sorry. But I just wondered if you might be able to leave us with a little bit of hope. And when I think of you, Carolyn, I love your personal Facebook page where you share about your kids, and like your kids are incredible to me, like the things that you guys are up to, and like it's just always giving me a smile and a laugh. And I think in the fitness space there is a lot of and particularly from women, I would say narcissism. I don't
Oh,
know
sure.
put that, but so I guess the hopeful message that I want, or the takeaway for my community, which is mainly female, is would be something for the younger girls, right? Like what in terms of body image and taking care of themselves and that kind of thing. What would you tell the young generation, the youngsters?
Oh, put me on the spot. Look, I am a mom of two, preteen and a teenager. So I do have a very personal and intimate relationship with that age range. And we're a few years apart. I'm 49 and my eldest is just about to turn 16. So I feel like, it's been a long time since I was that age, but I do look back on being in that place. And God, time goes fast, doesn't it? Like, wasn't I just that age? I think that, you know what, Sabrina, so much has changed from when I was a teenager to when they were. And they are bombarded daily with messages, especially on social media. And I try not to criticize social media too much because honestly, social media they don't know a world without it. They have screens in front of them every single day and they were born into it. And depending on when they got that screen in their hands, they've probably had it for, give or take whatever period of time. But I think that when it comes to body image, I believe that despite what they're seeing out there, they're smart. And they also know, and there's also a lot of body positive messages out there. There's a lot more liberal mindset about our identities, I think, about who we are and who we believe to be true, and that we're allowed to express that. And I think that that's the most important thing for young people is, despite what you see, you're challenged with filters and with influencers, I'd say lean to the people that speak your language, that speak your truth, that reflect the values you have, and, delete the rest and lean into those things and what's important to you. And look for people with a positive message.
And get ripped like mommy. I think that is a great thing for them to look up to, right?
But it's a fine line, right? It's the girls have seen, Ryan and I's journey along the way, and they much prefer us when we are less intense about being strict about anything to do with nutrition or fitness. And so I think as parents, it's important that we remember that there's an intensity and a AAA battery for everything, but there's also a place that's livable and sustainable. And our kids, our girls, more appreciate that than they do when we are all intense. And they can see through the bullshit too. Right? They can see when we're like, we're going to dial it in with our nutrition. We're going to be much more blah, 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 blah. And they just hear the white noise and watch us in real time make different choices than what we're saying. So I just think it's, for young people, it's be true to yourself and follow those people and lean into what's important to you. And the people that lead healthy mindset and physical lives, but that are true to real living and being a real person in a real world.
Yeah. That's holistic living. That's
holistic. So yeah.
This is wonderful, Carolyn. Thank you so much for joining me today. How can people find you?
Well, they can find Game Changers on Instagram at game.changers.fitness. We're also on Facebook, Game Changers Fitness, and I can't remember the address to that. But anyway, you can find us out there. I'm Carolyn Luhning. I'm also on Facebook. You can send me a message there. You can also send us an email at info@gamechangersfitness.com.
Right on. Thanks so much, honey.
Thank you. Love you. Take care, everybody. Be well.
Ciao.
Ciao.